Is pirated software worth it? Let's find out. Pirated software, also known as cracked or hacked software, is software that has been reverse engineered and imitates a legitimate product that costs money, and provides the software for free, which would otherwise cost the end user his or her money. Pirated software is essentially like a free equivalent of the real thing, it's just that you get it for free. Unfortunately, pirated software also carries many risks, up to and including serious legal consequences, so it's important you understand the dangers and complications of using hacked software, if you decide you want to start using it. For the very reason that hacked software is often associated with legal risks, many people avoid downloading or even browsing for it, and instead use free and open source software. However, some people do not have a choice if they need specific functionality of a specific application. For example, if you want to use a digital audio workstation such as FL Studio, you have to pay for it, and many synthesizers and plugins cost money as well. But guess what? A hacked version of lots of popular software exists. The same goes for plugins, but this is focusing on DAWs, not every single application out there. Hacked software exists in many areas, including video editing and rendering software, operating systems such as Microsoft Windows. Popular proprietary software in general is what's most often turned into hacked software by the people who can do that sort of thing. However, not every single software has a hack version available. This is also very true for video games too, as many popular Android games have hacked editions available. But you can still find that some apps just don't have a hacked edition available. Online games are much harder to crack than offline games. The same goes for software. If a software sends information back to its developers, it's going to be harder to hide the fact you're using a pirated version, especially in the case of something like FL Studio or Microsoft Windows. Both have telemetry which constantly reports feedback to the developers, and this information reveals your IP address. So if you're stupid enough to use cracked software without some sort of disguise, it will notify the developer you're using a hacked or spoofed version of their software, which can attract the attention of the police. So you do not want to do something that could result in loss of your hardware. You could also receive what's known as a cease and desist letter in your mail, from your Internet Services Provider, ISP, which essentially means that if you do not discontinue in the bad behavior which they see as illegal, legal consequences can and will be taken, including but not limited to loss of Internet service, due to violation of terms and services, potentially being banned from using that ISP in the future, as you have violated their terms and services, as well as many charges and possible jail time from a law enforcement. So this is very scary sort of stuff. Hacked software, while providing you a free version of something, can also be dangerous, as it can ruin your life. And I also forgot to mention that malware is also a common problem here too. Yes, cracked software and games often have viruses, or some sort of malware, up to and including ransomware, and more nasty stuff. This is especially the case for Windows, as it is by far the largest platform where hacked software is developed for. But Android is also quite popular, so it too is very popular for crackers to develop a cracked version of a popular application. But because they're by far the most popular and widely used systems, this makes them an easy target for malicious developers to inject code, or do any sort of nasty thing to the software which will compromise your computer in some way. So cracked software is also a bit of a gamble. You never know what you're getting is legitimate or real. Some cracked software also performs subpar compared to the real thing, so you have to be mindful of that too. Overall, the benefits and cons of using cracked software is not easy to conclude on. However, what is certain is that it does carry severe and serious legal risks, and termination of your internet services. If you rely on mobile data, the same thing probably applies there too. Never ever download cracked software without knowing what you're doing, and what you need to do. It can seriously ruin your life for good if you do something stupid. Hacking is not tolerated by any means whatsoever anywhere in the world. Governments and law enforcement is constantly keeping an eye on those who engage in downloading and using illegal or pirated software, and they too can spoof it with their own malicious code which could be used to reveal real-world information about you, but it's usually the companies rather than your government who would likely do this. The companies can then report relevant information and telemetry data to the government or law enforcement, who can then use it to arrest an individual who is supposedly using cracked software. Free and open source software has risen in popularity mainly because hacked software is dangerous and carries many risks, so most people stay away from it, and either pay for the real software, or they end up finding a free application which is basically just as good, if not better than the real thing. Take LibreOffice as an example, compare that to Microsoft Office. You're really not losing out on many features or much functionality. About the only problem is compatibility can still be a hit or a miss when editing Microsoft Office files, or the rendering or formatting could be off slightly, but it's nothing too major or drastic, and LibreOffice may lack some more advanced features, but unless you really need them, I think you can make do without them. LibreOffice is by far the most recommended free Office suite, and as users do not want to risk their lives just to use software, free and open source stuff has helped people to accomplish what would otherwise be impossible to do, because most of it can do what the big name software can, give or take some features and functionality. So, is cracked software worth using? If you really do not have the money for the big name software, then you can potentially justify it. However, if you really love something so much you use it all the time, then I honestly think you should pay for that software or game. You may consider pirated software if free and open source software is not an option for you, but as mentioned earlier, you must be very careful. Even browsing for hacked games and software can attract unwanted attention from the police and government, so to protect yourself, you would need at the very least a VPN, or virtual private network, which will hide your real IP address from your ISP, and any websites you visit. Even Google will not know your real location when using a VPN, and oftentimes, you need a torrent client to download the cracked software, so unless you're prepared to learn how to use these things and take your own risk when downloading cracked software, you do not even think about looking for pirated software. Please note that I am not promoting any illegal software or content. This video is purely for educational purposes only. I will not be held responsible for anyone's personal engagement in browsing for and downloading pirated software. Please do so at your own risk. Any risk taken, damage, or liability, is entirely on you. Anyway, that will do it for this video, folks. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. See you next video. Bye for now.